On the morning show, it's fantastic to get into some music, and the Dead Daisies are on tour. Now, these guys are a group of fellas who have been brought together from some of the great rock bands, and they're supporting KISS right now in a national tour, the 40th anniversary tour. And I've got John Corabi on the phone. He's the lead vocalist, formerly of the Motley Crue, now the Dead Daisies. Hey, how are you there, John?
I'm all right, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Look, you've just started this fantastic concert tour, and I believe you're in Perth on Saturday night. Gee, that was a pretty tough gig to give you the Perth concert that's supporting KISS to get the crowd revved up after the West Coast Eagles went down just that afternoon.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the crowd was great. They were responsive and everything, but you could tell it took a little work getting them into it, you know. And afterwards, I was kidding with the promoter, and I'm like, well, you could have had this show yesterday, you know what I mean? But
yes.
I watched a bit of the game earlier myself, and I was trying to figure out the whole scoring process and everything like that. And
yes.
and it was, you know, for lack of a better term, it was a bloodbath. It was not good. So.
Yes, you could see that one side was definitely winning and the other side wasn't. That's for sure.
Well, I asked this guy that was sitting next to me at the time. Yeah. I was having some lunch, and we were watching the game, and you know, I think maybe at halftime it was like 40-something to 20.
Yep.
And I said, now, the way this game runs, I said, is this a deficit that they can come back? Because I'm used to American football. When you hit 40, 50 points, it's like you're not really coming back from that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And he goes, oh yeah, mate. He goes, you know, if the other team doesn't play, I think we have a chance. I'm like,
that's right.
Great answer.
Yeah, that's about it. Well, look, you've started the tour and you've got a brand new track that you played, Empty Heart. We're going to play it a bit later. Tell us about it. It's a collaboration with the great Jimmy Barnes. I mean, it would have been fantastic to bring him in and collaborate together, but not only that, but just to get his raw voice onto Empty Heart would have been fantastic.
Yeah, it was... It was funny. Our drummer, Brian Tishy, we started the record, actually. We did a couple tracks while we were in Cuba. And then we came to Sydney, and Brian had some commitments with other things where he couldn't come over and finish the album, and he couldn't do the first part of the KISS tour. So we came to Australia, and our guitar player, David Lowy, is very good friends with Jimmy and his son, Jackie. And Jackie plays drums for Jimmy. So we just talked. Jackie came in, and he wound up finishing the rest of the record for us. So Jimmy, being dad, was in another room in the studio. He kept popping in, and you know, he's such a great dude. So he's very funny, and he was like, listen, if my kid's not, you know, playing well, or if he's giving you guys any grief, you know, just smack him in the back of the head. He'll be fine. You know what I mean? Blah, 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 whatever. So he heard some of our material. He kept coming in, and he would hear the stuff, and he just kind of said, you know, I have a couple of songs I'd like you guys to hear, and if you're up for it, you know, I'm not going to do them. You know, you're more than welcome, whatever, so check them out. So he brought them to us, and we all kind of gravitated towards Empty Heart. So we all said, yeah, we want to do this song. It's a great tune. David called Jimmy and said, Jimmy, we'd like to do Empty Heart, but we'd like it if you did a duet with our singer. And he was all about it. So it was just, A, the song is amazing. It's just a great song. And B, like sitting in the room and actually sharing a vocal microphone with Jimmy was just such a huge thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, it does sound like it too. Hey, talking about that, I'm talking with John Corabi. He is the lead singer of the Dead Daisies, currently on tour with KISS. I want to go through the guys that make up the Dead Daisies. Marco Mendoza joins you on bass. He's from Thin Lizzy and very, very popular bass player. Dizzy Reed, you just mentioned on the keyboards, Guns N' Roses fame. David Lowy on the guitar from Mink and also Red Phoenix. And look, you lost one of your touring party, Richard Fortis. He was to play lead guitar, from Guns N' Roses, but had a bit of a tiff on the motorcycle and been replaced on the concert tour by David Leslie from the Baby Animals.
Yes, Richard, unfortunately, Richard lives in America in St. Louis, and he was, you know, he's an avid bike rider, and probably about 4 days or so before we were supposed to leave, Richard was out riding his motorcycle, and he had an accident, and he's okay. He was in a hospital for a day or so, and he came home, and he's healing. We've all been calling him since we've been over here, but he kind of broken a couple bones and some ribs and some toes, and it's killing him that he can't be over here. He loves Australia. He loves coming over here. It's such a blast. But we have Dave, from Baby Animals, as you said. He came down, and he was more than happy and willing to help us out. And he jumped into rehearsals, did his homework, and he's been playing his bum off. So it's cool, and we appreciate it and love Dave for that. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
But I think Richard will be back with us for the Kiss cruise, and we're actually going to Europe in November with Whitesnake, so he'll be back for that.
Fantastic. Well, Brian Tichy also joins you on the drums from Billy Idol and Ozzy Osbourne fame, and certainly a good lineup. But tell me a little bit about when on concert tour, the nature of the guys getting together. Do you just sort of gel back into the Dead Daisies? You go off to your own separate lives from time to time. How does that come back together?
It's really weird. Like we're not one of these bands that has to sit down and rehearse for long. I know bands that go on tour and they will literally rehearse their set for weeks. And this whole concept of the Dead Daisies is just a bunch of guys who obviously have pedigrees in the music industry. We've all known we've all been doing this for 20, 30 plus years. So, we'll all sit down prior to the tour, and we'll figure out what songs we want to do. How long is our set? All right, it's 40 minutes, and then we'll sit down and we'll figure out what we want to do. Everybody will agree, or we'll make some changes. We agree, and then everybody does their homework at home, and then we come. We went to Sydney and we rehearsed 2 days, and we flew to Perth, and. We had a couple first show, little glitches, but nothing the audience would really pick up on. But we knew it was there. We talk about it afterwards, correct it, and then it's on to the next show, So I think with the caliber of musicians, like you were saying, everybody in the band has been session guys. They've played in some unbelievable bands. And, so we... if we don't know what we're doing at this point, we should just give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, look, you've got a new album called Revolution, and it happened when you were on a trip, as you mentioned earlier, to Cuba. Then you put together a documentary. Tell us about that documentary and what it meant to the group.
Well, the one thing about the management and the PR firm that works with Dead Daisies, they film everything. Their social network people are just, it's crazy. There's literally 20 or 30 Facebook posts a day. There's, Instagram and all this other stuff. So they've always had this thing where they film everything. But obviously knowing that we were the first, band to go through all the proper legal channels between the United States and Cuba, we knew that this was going to kind of be, it's a big deal, you know what I mean? And so we went over and just the anticipation, the excitement of the fans, and then we just wanted to capture all of it, if for nothing, just our own personal viewing pleasure, later with our friends sitting around having a beer. But it was such great footage, and we had such a great time there that we all, put together this, 20-minute, 25-minute documentary on our trip. And I highly recommend anybody that's listening, if you get a chance to go to Cuba, it's an unbelievably beautiful country, and the people are awesome. And as much as I'm happy for them that America has lifted the sanctions, I also know that it's going to change their thing a little bit, where now, like when we went over, it was like all local family-owned restaurants and the hotels. And, now that the sanctions are off, I guarantee you there's going to be McDonald's and Burger King and Starbucks. And, and I'm kind of hoping that little, their little taste of home doesn't get too changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And it does happen. I want to ask you about your great offer for the concert, not only for the Adelaide concert at the Entertainment Centre tonight, but for Thursday and Friday night in Melbourne at the Rod Laver Arena. You got on your website, if people bought tickets there, they actually get a discounted price off of the Dead Daisies website, and there's a chance to win a Harley Davidson there too. I mean, you're going all out.
Well, it's the Harley thing is for it's for a great cause. We got together with Fraser, a company called Fraser Harley Davidson in Sydney, and then Piston Head Lager, and the New South Wales Cancer Council. Yeah. And basically, we said to our fans, we're coming to Australia for the Australian fans only. Obviously, we can't ship the bike to Japan or wherever, but for the Australian fans, we said if you go to the deaddaisies.com and make a donation to the Cancer Council, your name will get put into a hat, and at the end of, I believe it's at the end of this month. I could be wrong, but I believe that the drawing is at the end of this month. And as long as you make a donation, you have a possibility to win a brand new Harley Davidson Street 500. And again, I think it's just a great cause. I just did a benefit. I have a solo band at home in America that I tour with, and I just did a festival in Mexico City with my band, and it was the same thing. It was for children with cancer. I lost both of my parents to cancer. It's a horrible disease. So we just said, you know what, let's do this. Yeah. I think it's a great cause. And you know what, if you make a $10 donation or something like that, you could possibly drive off with a brand new Harley Davidson. It's all good.
And while you're there, make sure you don't forget to pick up some tickets for the big show. Of course, the Daisy's supporting KISS at the terrific, massive entertainment centre in Adelaide, and that is tonight and then Thursday and Friday at Rod Laver. Well, that motorbike, if no one else doesn't want it, then I'm sure Richard Fortis will be pretty happy to get a repaired, nice, brand new motorbike, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, I have to talk to Richard now. It's funny. I finally talked my wife into. She's always been nervous because, I kind of have a bit of devil-may-care attitude, and she's just like, wait, you want to get a motorcycle? Like, you're absolutely out of your mind. Like, I cannot picture your personality on a motorcycle. You're going to terrorize our neighbors, whatever. So, and then I finally talked her into it, and then Richard called and said he got into an accident. So I have to talk to him and see if he's still willing to ride, because I just ordered a new motorcycle. So
Go quietly, I think, on this one.
Yeah, I'm tiptoeing around my house, believe me.
It's great to talk with you, John. No doubt about the concert tour with KISS. It's a big one, and great to see the Dead Daisies out and about for their fans across Australia. John Corabi with me, and the song Empty Heart's a new one. Thanks for joining us here on The Flow.
No worries, buddy. Thank you for having me.